Okay, it's time for the summative assessment, or it's getting close to the time. So you need to prep for this final three-way meeting. This is the high-impact meeting. Remember that students need to meet each element, including well-structured lessons, adjustment to practice, meeting diverse needs, safe learning environment, high expectation, and reflective practice, on the measures of quality, scope, and consistency as follows. Quality needs to be proficient for every element. Scope and consistency need to be needs improvement for every element. That's the baseline for passing, but you need to actually evidence and substantiate your choices. So much like the formative, you're going to deep dive and look at everything that has been done. I'll jump over here in a second. Everything that's been done throughout the entire semester. And you're going to have a lot of documentation of formal forms and forms that are on the online platform, hard copy forms you may have used. So we've passed through pre-cycle steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're prepping for step 5. So this is the really, where the rubber meets the road, this is the really high impact section. So you really want to make sure that you and the supervising practitioner are really on the same page. You don't want to get to that final summative meeting and have any difference of opinion, so you want to work this through ahead of time. So I'm going to suggest that you conduct what we call the deep dive, but let's first look to see what's actually included in this summative. It's cumulative, so it's going to include all 4 observations: announced number 1, unannounced number 1, announced number 2, and unannounced number 2. Now you may have in the formative identified a 5th observation. Great, that one needs to be done as well, with all the information for every observation entered into the DesiCap online website account portal. You also want to make sure that you have all your meetings identified with the dates and so that yes, they have actually happened. Unannounced observation number 2 is run only by the supervising practitioner, of course. If you chose to do a 5th observation, it's going to be called unannounced number 3, weirdly. Why don't they just call it the 5th observation? I don't know, but they don't. For this unannounced observation number 3, it's called unannounced, but it doesn't need to be unannounced. You can absolutely run that observation yourself. The supervising practitioner does not need to be involved at all if it's a busy time of year. It's just that if you identified in the formative that you wanted to run it, you will run it. If, however, you identified it in the formative but decided you don't want to run it, just go back into the formative form and unlock it and uncheck that 5th observation option, which was found at the bottom of the form. So now let's take a peek at the form for summative. Exciting, we're at the end. So here's a summative form that has been completed. I don't have access to an empty one for you right now, but I just want to give you a quick tour of it. Again, we've got the elements, well-structured lessons. Down below you would have meeting diverse needs and adjustment to practice and all those different elements we've looked at. Quality, scope, and consistency. This student has met them as a minimum requirement, and so yes, she had met the readiness threshold. She had proficient for quality, needs improvement for scope, and needs improvement for consistency. Over here in the calibrated element feedback for the teacher candidate, I'm referencing each observation. I'm going to zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. Nope, other way. Okay, so what we have here is the referencing of each observation. It says, please see announced observation 1, announced 2, unannounced 2, and unannounced 3. But I also conducted additional observations of the student. And those observations were really important for us to determine her readiness. So I actually put that content in. Let's take a peek at that now. So I had it as commendations and recommendations. This is all just for well-structured lessons. So I just took these from my notes. This won't appear anywhere else on the DesiCap web portal interface. So it's just here, but this was helpful for me to justify the ratings that I gave her. So down here, all of the content there was entered in automatically. That was just automatically populated. I didn't type all of this in. This is from those calibrated evidence boxes that were in each observation earlier in the semester. So this is from observation 1, announced 2, unannounced 2, and what's being called an unannounced 3, but in reality, the student knew that that one was coming. Again, this is where it becomes really critical that you have information and feedback for students in all of these measures. This particular supervising practitioner was vigilant about providing content at every single observation. So what you'll see as we go down the pages, every single observation has content. which was tremendously helpful in being able to rate the student well. At the bottom of the page, you need to make that big decision. So you're going to actually identify that you feel this teacher candidate is or is not ready to teach in two places. One is going to be right here in the digital platform, where you'll click from the drop-down menu, ready to teach or not ready to teach. You'll then click complete and save your work. The supervising practitioner will need to review this whole form. He or she may be adding some content to this form, also clicking complete and save your work, and you are talking in order to make sure that you're calibrating on the content that is here. You're both very comfortable and very aware of what these ratings are, so that when you go into that meeting, there's no misunderstanding and no question. You're also going to indicate ready to teach on that initial CAP form. So each one of those three-way meetings, you want to be filling out that CAP form with signatures, and this is no exception because you're going to be having the discussion of the summative data at that final three-way meeting, and you want to fill out that form. Let me open that up now. So back at the beginning, I'm going to go way up here to pre-cycle. It's actually also here in step 5 and step 4 and step 2. I'm going to click on this. This is one that you brought with you to the meeting initially, and you filled out all of the teacher candidate information, if you recall. So this is the administrative paperwork. This is all the supervising practitioner paperwork. And down here on the second page, you have filled out signatures and the dates for the first, the second, and the third three-way meetings. This was your baseline meeting, not your orientation. It was after that. It was your baseline meeting and goal setting. This is your formative, and this is your summative meeting. Now on this form, you're also going to fill out a very simple decision. Is this student ready to teach or not ready to teach? So this is the second place you're going to indicate this. You and the supervising practitioner are going to sign this, and this is the final documentation that you'll have at the end of the semester. So this form is complete. The online form is complete because you've done the summative. And so what you should end up with is everything that is in this column should be in completed cycle steps. And I just want to show you the last little piece here. I'm going to open up this person's summative, which was already done. I just unlocked it for the purposes of this tutorial. I'm clicking at the bottom of the page, complete, and save work. Hold on 1 minute while it thinks. Bounces me back, and now every single thing in the whole semester is under completed cycle steps. I'm going to look now under future cycle steps. Nothing is listed underneath it, and I'm ready to hit end cycle. Now if you end the cycle and you didn't mean to end the cycle, you can open it up again and make edits as needed. I think that's everything. Oh, one more thing. So the goal presentation. So the students establish this whole goal for the semester, and then it's not documented on this website at all. You'll factor it in at the formative as is relevant, and at the summative definitely. But one of the things that I did for my students, which I found to be very helpful and also validated all of their work on that goal, was I had them give a brief presentation of the goal and how they met it in a format that they could use in an interview with a principal or a school committee or a superintendent. And then that helped me have that last little bit of evidence for the summative assessment. So the day of the three-way meeting, my teacher candidate came in and gave a brief presentation on how they met the goal. The supervising practitioner and I were already on the same page about the summative, and then we gave those summative results. So we hope that this is really helpful. Thank you.